Imagine not a jungle of tangled vines and shadows, but a canvas stretched across time itself. For thousands of years, we've been told that the beginning of civilization lies in one place, the Fertile Crescent of Mesopotamia. Around 6,000 years ago, in the land of Sumer, people built the first true cities. They shaped laws, raised great temples, and created writing to turn thoughts into lasting records. This land, often called the cradle of civilization, is where many believe humanity's long journey into organized life began. This universally accepted narrative, this Mesopotamian Genesis, has exerted a profound and undeniable influence on how we comprehend our own history. It forms the very bedrock of our understanding, shaping our perception of human progression as a largely linear ascent. From nomadic hunter-gatherers, we envision a gradual, almost inevitable evolution towards settled agriculture, then permanent villages, and finally the radiant dawn of urban centers, specialized labor, and the intricate social structures that define civilization as we know it. Sumer, in this grand historical drama, is cast as the definitive opening act, the moment the curtain rose on an entirely new human epoch. It implies a clear, discernible starting line for organized intelligence, for collective ambition, for the very foundations of the world we inhabit today. This narrative comforts us with its neatness, its logical progression, assuring us that we understand the fundamental trajectory of our species, from primal origins to the sophistication of the present. It has defined, for so long, the very parameters of what is possible and when. But what if this established genesis, this comfortingly familiar starting point, is not the absolute beginning? What if the vibrant, complex tapestry of human endeavor, as understood through the lens of Sumer, represents not the initial thread, but a brilliant restitching, a magnificent reignition after an older, deeper pattern had faded? This is the audacious question that we dared to pose, the silent whisper that challenges the very foundation of our historical certitude. What if there are deeper, unwritten chapters preceding Sumer, veiled by time, swallowed by oblivion, awaiting discovery beneath layers of accumulated assumption and geological memory? What if civilizations of comparable or even greater sophistication flourished in epochs we have long dismissed as primitive, their existence now a ghost on the canvas of deep time? The impulse to uncover such hidden truths, to challenge established paradigms, is deeply ingrained within the human spirit. It is the same unyielding curiosity that drove explorers into the heart of the Amazon, initially convinced it was an untouched wilderness, only for them to uncover the profound, human-sculpted landscapes of a forgotten past. Just as the relentless canopy of the rainforest concealed the monumental ingenuity of ancient Amazonians, so too might the vast, unconquered expanse of geological time, punctuated by periods of cataclysm and transformation, conceal entire epochs of human endeavor that predate our conventional historical markers. We are drawn, almost irresistibly, to the allure of the unwritten, to the possibility that the stories we tell ourselves about our origins are incomplete, merely fragments of a much grander, more intricate saga. It is this inherent desire to look beyond the known, to push against the perceived boundaries of history, that compels us now on this extraordinary journey. So let us cast aside the comfortable assumptions of a linear progression and instead embrace a contemplative, expansive tone, inviting you to journey beyond the familiar horizons of known history. Let us meditate on the sheer, unfathomable vastness of geological time, those immense eons that dwarf the mere 6,000 years of recorded history into an almost insignificant blank. Consider for a moment the profound stretches of time since the last ice age, since humanity first walked the earth, since the very continents drifted into their present configurations. Within these colossal temporal gulfs,
what might have transpired? What societies might have risen and fallen, leaving barely a trace, their monumental achievements dissolved by the relentless alchemy of erosion, buried by millennia of sediment, or perhaps swallowed by the rising tides of ancient oceans? Our documented history is a thin, precarious veneer atop an oceanic depth of unrecorded epochs, a faint echo in a cavern of silence.
From these profound depths, from the very memory of the earth itself, come faint, almost imperceptible whispers, suggesting a potential pre-Sumerian ingenuity, a different kind of origin story. These are not yet roaring declarations, but subtle reverberations, a faint echo in the rustling leaves of deep time, hints that our capacity for organized society, for monumental architecture, for sophisticated knowledge might be far more ancient, far more cyclical than we have dared to imagine. It is a compelling premonition, a quiet insistence that something truly extraordinary waits to be brought forth from the depths of Earth's memory, fundamentally altering our understanding of who we are and where we truly come from. This journey asks us to listen closely to these whispers, to discern the faint outlines of a forgotten dawn, and to consider the possibility that civilization, in its truest and grandest sense, has unfolded many times before. The silent whispers from the depths of Earth's memory, those faint echoes of a different kind of origin story, are not merely abstract notions. They manifest, sometimes, as monumental stone, rising from ancient hillsides or slumbering beneath the waves, defying our conventional chronologies with their sheer, unyielding presence. Across the globe, megalithic structures stand as enigmatic sentinels, silent testament to hands and minds far removed from our established historical horizons, challenging every assumption we hold about the earliest stirrings of human organization and capability. These are not crude constructions, born of fledgling ingenuity, but often works of astonishing precision and colossal scale, hinting at a past far more complex than the one we have traditionally embraced. Imagine for a moment a high, wind-swept ridge in southeastern Turkey, a place where, for millennia, farmers had simply tilled fields around strange, low mounds. Then, in the mid-1990s, the archaeologist Klaus Schmidt began to dig, and the world's understanding of its own past was irrevocably altered. What emerged from beneath the dust of 12,000 years was not merely an ancient settlement, but a breathtaking revelation, Göbekli Tepe. Dating back to the pre-pottery Neolithic era, well over 12,000 years ago, this site predates the invention of agriculture, pottery, and settled life as we understand it, throwing the entire linear progression of human development into profound question. It is, to put it simply, a monumental achievement forged by hunter-gatherers. Göbekli Tepe is a sprawling complex of massive circular enclosures, each dominated by colossal T-shaped pillars, some standing over 16 feet tall and weighing upward of 20 tons. These weren't just crude stones. They were meticulously quarried, shaped, and erected, often forming precise astronomical alignments like silent celestial observers marking the passage of ancient skies. But perhaps most astonishing are the intricate, often hauntingly lifelike carvings that adorn these megaliths, a vibrant menagerie of animals – foxes, boars, snakes, scorpions, vultures – depicted with an artistry and symbolic depth that speak of a sophisticated cosmology, a rich internal world utterly unexpected for people we once considered primitive. Abstract symbols are too etched into the stone, hinting at narratives and meanings now lost to the ages. This was not merely a dwelling place, it was a sacred landscape, a cathedral on a hill built with immense communal effort long before the first domesticated grains sprouted from cultivated soil. Its very existence implies an advanced social organization, a capacity for sustained collective labor, and a shared belief system potent enough to inspire such monumental construction, all without the conventional drivers of agriculture,
surplus food, and hierarchical societies that historians once deemed prerequisites for such feats. Göbekli Tepe forces us to reimagine the very genesis of civilization, suggesting that perhaps organized ritual and a shared spiritual quest, rather than the practicalities of farming, were the initial catalysts for humans coming together on such an unprecedented scale, building not homes, but temples to the heavens. It stands as a stark, silent challenge to the neat, tidy narrative of our progression, a stone exclamation mark in the oldest chapters of our story.
Far across the globe, where the Pacific Ocean embraces the southern islands of Japan, another profound enigma lies submerged beneath the waves. Off the coast of Yonaguni, fishermen and divers began to report inexplicable underwater formations, vast angular structures that seemed too regular, too precise to be mere geological happenstance. What was eventually revealed was the Yonaguni Monument. Colossal, almost perfectly rectilinear formations of rock, featuring what appear to be carved steps, massive terraces, and even what some interpret as a grand ceremonial archway. The scale of these formations is immense, suggesting not a natural wreath, but something sculpted with conscious intent. The debate surrounding Yonaguni is as deep as the waters that conceal it. Geologists argue that the structures are naturally formed, carved by millennia of seismic activity, currents, and erosion acting upon soft sandstone. They point to natural fracture lines and columnar jointing that can create remarkably regular patterns. Yet archaeologists and other researchers contend that the precision of the angles, the sheer scale of the terracing, and the discernible 90-degree corners defy purely natural explanation. They see clear evidence of human modification, of tools and hands shaping the stone. If it is indeed man-made, or at least significantly modified by human hands, then its age becomes utterly staggering. These structures would have had to be carved when they were above sea level, a period that stretches back at least 10,000 years to the end of the last ice age, when global sea levels were dramatically lower. This would place the Yonaguni Monument in a pre-Ice Age context, hinting at a sophisticated, seafaring culture existing at a time when conventional history depicts humanity as primitive hunter-gatherers. It becomes, in the collective imagination, a potential Atlantis of the Pacific, a silent testament to a world swallowed whole by the inexorable rise of ancient seas, a lost civilization lying patiently, eternally, beneath the restless waves. From the silent depths of the ocean, our journey across these archaic anomalies leads us back to land, to the windswept plains of Brittany, France, where an equally astounding, if more visible testament to ancient ingenuity sprawls across the landscape, the Karnak stones. Here, in vast, seemingly endless fields, stand tens of thousands of megaliths, arranged in precise, bewildering patterns that have captivated and mystified observers for millennia. There are long, parallel rows of standing stones, known as alignments, stretching for kilometers. Colossal stone circles, or cromlechs, like ancient silent arenas, and solitary towering menhirs, each a silent sentinel to a forgotten purpose. The sheer scale of the Karnak complex is almost beyond comprehension. Moving and erecting tens of thousands of stones, some weighing many tons, would have required an immense, sustained communal effort, an engineering feat that predates the established civilizations of Egypt and Mesopotamia by thousands of years. We are talking about constructions dating back to the Neolithic period, approximately 4500 BCE to 2000 BCE, but with some estimates pushing origins even further back. What purpose did these monumental arrangements serve? Theories abound, yet none fully encapsulate the enigma.
Many alignments demonstrate precise astronomical orientations, marking solstices, equinoxes, and other celestial events, suggesting a profound understanding of the cosmos and a sophisticated system for tracking time. Were they vast calendars, sacred processional routes, territorial markers, or perhaps even memorials to a forgotten lineage? The systematic placement of each stone, the subtle undulations and curves within the seemingly straight rows speak not of random placement, but of a deliberate, grand design, an intelligence orchestrating a landscape-scale endeavor. It is a silent, stone library of forgotten knowledge, its pages weathered and its language lost. The Karnak stones, much like Göbekli Tepe, stand as irrefutable evidence of a highly organized, deeply collaborative society capable of monumental undertakings and possessing an advanced understanding of their world, not with metal tools or beasts of burden as we imagine, but with sheer human will, ingenuity, and a profound connection to the earth and the heavens.
These physical remnants, these stone sentinels scattered across continents and beneath oceans, the meticulously carved pillars of Göbekli Tepe, the enigmatic submerged terraces of Yonaguni, the sprawling, astronomically aligned fields of Karnak, are like scattered bones of an impossibly ancient giant. They whisper, not faintly, but with an echoing resonance of a past far more complex and organized than our traditional narratives allow. They force us to confront the profound possibility that humanity's earliest architectural and societal capacities were not a hesitant, linear climb from primitive beginnings, but rather a sophisticated, perhaps even cyclical expression of ingenuity that reached astonishing heights in ages long lost to memory. These are not anomalies that can be easily dismissed as isolated curiosities. Instead, they form a compelling pattern, challenging the very bedrock of our historical assumptions. They suggest that before Sumer, before the accepted dawn of civilization, there were other dawns, other complexities, other visions of human potential that manifested in monumental stone, etched themselves into the landscape, or were ultimately swallowed by the inexorable forces of a changing planet. They compel us to reconsider the timeline, to broaden our gaze, and to accept that the story of human civilization is not a single, well-defined path, but a vast, intricate labyrinth of forgotten chapters, patiently awaiting rediscovery, carved in stone and held in the deep embrace of time. If the colossal stone sentinels of Göbekli Tepe, Yonaguni, and Karnak whispered of an unthinkable ancient capacity for communal effort, for sculpting landscapes and defying the limitations of their perceived eras, then other, more subtle artifacts, strewn across millennia, speak not just of organized labor, but of an advanced, almost impossible command of knowledge itself. These are not grand declarations etched in mountainsides, but intricate puzzles embedded in ancient maps, unassuming vessels, or the baffling precision of stone, each piece a fragment of a forgotten blueprint, a ghost imprint of intelligence that seems to appear without a discernible lineage. They challenge our very understanding of the progression of human ingenuity, suggesting that the wellspring of our inventiveness runs far deeper into the annals of time than we have dared to imagine. Imagine, if you will, a map drawn not by the intrepid explorers of the Age of Discovery, but by hands reaching back into a past far more distant, a past steeped in geographical knowledge that should not, by all conventional accounts, have existed. This is the enigma of the Piri Reis map, an Ottoman chart from 1513, ostensibly compiled by the admiral and cartographer Piri Reis himself. At first glance, it appears a remarkable piece of early modern cartography, detailing coastlines of Europe, Africa, and the Americas with astonishing accuracy for its time. Yet, upon closer scrutiny, the map reveals geographical features that are, to put it mildly, deeply unsettling to established historical timelines. It depicts the northern coastline of Antarctica, a landmass not officially discovered until centuries later. And even more profoundly, it shows this coastline without its ice cover. Such a depiction would require surveying from a period at least 6,000 to 12,000 years ago, when the continent's vast ice sheets had receded sufficiently to expose its underlying land. How could a 16th century mapmaker possess such information? Puri Reis himself noted that his map was not an original work, but a compilation of 20 much older source maps, some dating back to the time of Alexander the Great, and others, of course, from origins far more ancient, lost in the mists of antiquity. This wasn't merely a lucky guess or a cartographic anomaly. It was a systematic representation of geographical data that predates known exploration, challenging the very narrative of discovery and our timeline of global understanding. The Piri Reis map, then, becomes a tantalizing whisper from a lost age, a testament to an unknown civilization with an advanced grasp of global geography, capable of mapping vast expanses of the Earth long before such feats were deemed possible. It is a blueprint of a forgotten world, preserved through successive transmissions, echoing the cartographic genius of a people whose very existence remains a question mark in our history books.
Then, shift your gaze from the grand sweep of continents to a seemingly unassuming clay jar unearthed in the 1930s near Baghdad. Dating back over 2 millennia to the Parthian era, this artifact has sparked one of the most persistent and provocative debates in archaeological circles. Within its humble form, a copper cylinder encloses an iron rod, components which, when combined with an acidic electrolyte like grape juice or vinegar, create a primitive galvanic cell capable of generating an electric current. This, then, is the Baghdad battery, a device that hints at an understanding of electricity thousands of years before the accepted discovery of this force by Luigi Galvani and Alessandro Volta. The implications are radical. If this interpretation holds true, it suggests an ancient, lost technological capability, an awareness of electrical principles that vanished from human knowledge for millennia. While some scholars propose more mundane uses, such as storing sacred scrolls or for rudimentary electroplating of jewelry, a process that itself would imply sophisticated chemical and metallurgical knowledge, the very existence of such a structure challenges our linear progression of scientific understanding. It stands as a silent question mark, a physical enigma asking how much of our basic scientific understanding was merely rediscovered rather than created anew. The Baghdad battery, a small vessel of clay and metal, becomes a conduit to a world where ancient hands might have harnessed forces we deem utterly modern, a quiet testament to a blueprint of forgotten scientific insight. But the most compelling and widespread evidence of anomalous engineering often lies in the very fabric of our ancient structures, in the stones themselves. Not merely the immense scale of megalithic constructions, but the bewildering precision with which they were cut, shaped, and interlocked, often with materials of incredible hardness, seems to defy the known technological capabilities of their builders. Consider Pumapunku, part of the Tiwanaku complex in Bolivia, dating back to at least 500 to 600 AD, but with older, inexplicable foundations. Here, massive blocks of andesite and red sandstone, weighing tens or even hundreds of tons, are not merely stacked, they are carved with intricate, almost machine-like precision. We find H-blocks, each with identical, complex interlocking grooves and protuberances, designed to fit together with a perfect, almost seamless embrace, as if cast from a mold. The surfaces are polished to a mirror-like finish. The angles are absolutely precise, often 90-degree corners, but also complex, multifaceted internal angles that would challenge modern laser cutting tools, let alone primitive copper chisels. The cuts are so exact that a sheet of paper cannot be slipped between some of the joins. What tools, what methods, what immense power could have achieved such feats? The conventional archaeological explanation struggles to reconcile this with Bronze Age technology. This uncanny precision is not isolated. In ancient Egypt, the working of granite and diorite, some of the hardest stones on Earth, presents a similar enigma. At the Aswan Quarry, partially cut obelisks and massive statues bear evidence of techniques that seem to involve much more than copper tools and manual labor. Within the deep, perfectly squared cuts of massive sarcophagi and the intricate, perfectly aligned joinery of temple blocks, there is a recurring signature of an engineering mastery that far surpasses simple human effort and Bronze Age craft. How were these colossal blocks moved? How were they cut with such flawless angles and smooth surfaces? The very absence of tools capable of such feats in the archaeological record only deepens the mystery. It suggests a lost technology, a profound understanding of mechanics, or perhaps even a different form of energy that allowed these ancient hands to sculpt stone as if it were clay, leaving behind an indelible blueprint of an engineering prowess that has largely vanished from human memory. These are not merely good craftsmanship, they are, by our current understanding of ancient technologies, impossible craftsmanship.
And if we need a tangible testament to how profound knowledge can be born, flourish, and then utterly vanish from human collective memory, we need look no further than the Antikythera mechanism. Discovered in a shipwreck off the coast of Greece, this bronze artifact, dating to the 1st century BCE, is an astronomical calculator of breathtaking complexity. Within its corroded casing lies an intricate assembly of some 36 meshing bronze gears, each meticulously cut and arranged. It was designed to predict astronomical positions and eclipses for decades in advance, track the cycles of the sun and moon, and even calculate the dates of ancient Olympic Games. Its sophistication is staggering. Nothing remotely similar in complexity or precision reappears in the archaeological record for over a millennium until the advent of medieval clockwork. The Antikythera mechanism stands as a solitary sentinel, an isolated peak of technological achievement in an otherwise flat landscape of ancient innovation. It provides a stark physical example of how an advanced understanding in mathematics, astronomy, and precision engineering can emerge, flourish, and then be tragically lost to time, waiting to be rediscovered as a bewildering anomaly. Its very existence forces us to confront the unsettling possibility that our timeline of technological progress is not a smooth, uninterrupted ascent, but one punctuated by profound losses, by periods where brilliant blueprints simply faded from human consciousness. These artifacts, the Piri Reis map with its impossible geography, the Baghdad Battery hinting at forgotten electrical knowledge, the incomprehensible precision of ancient stonework, and the lonely genius of the Antikythera mechanism are not isolated quirks of ancient genius, nor are they simply the lucky results of crude experimentation. Instead, they represent systematic demonstrations of knowledge across diverse fields – in geography, in physics, in engineering, and in astronomy. This knowledge seems to manifest without a clear evolutionary precursor, without the slow, incremental development we typically expect from human innovation in the accepted narrative of our earliest beginnings. They are whispers from a deep wellspring of lost wisdom, fragments of a forgotten blueprint, suggesting an intellectual and technological capacity that challenges the very foundation of our understanding of ancient humanity. They imply that the tapestry of human ingenuity is far richer and far older than the threads we currently perceive, offering compelling evidence of a prior, sophisticated age whose brilliance was, for reasons yet to be understood, largely erased from the collective memory of humankind. If such sophisticated capacities were real, if these blueprints of forgotten ages truly existed, then a profound and unsettling question demands our attention. If humanity once attained such heights of ingenuity and organization, why then is so little enduring trace of it woven into the grand tapestry of recorded history? Why does the narrative we universally embrace speak of a gradual, linear ascent from primitive beginnings, rather than a cyclical reawakening? The answer perhaps lies not in human failure or inherent limitation, but in forces far grander and more destructive than any empire's collapse, the relentless, unforgiving power of planetary cataclysms, or what some have termed planetary resets. These are the great erasures, the cosmic and geological events that can sweep away civilizations, leaving only the faintest whispers for those patient enough to listen, burying millennia of human endeavor beneath a veil of oblivion. One such event, a shudder across the face of the Earth, is hypothesized to have occurred approximately 12,800 years ago, at the close of the last Ice Age, a period known as the Younger Dryas. Imagine a world just beginning to warm, vast ice sheets receding, life stirring in new ways. Then, without warning, a cataclysm, a cometary or asteroidal impact, or perhaps series of airbursts rent the atmosphere. The evidence, though debated, is compelling. A widespread layer of nanodiamonds, microscopic platinum, iridium, and spherules of molten rock found across continents, signatures of an extraterrestrial impact. The immediate aftermath would have been unimaginable. Massive shock waves tearing across landscapes, generating superheated winds that ignited colossal firestorms, engulfing entire biomes in a hellish inferno. Skies choked with soot and debris would have plunged the planet into a sudden, deep freeze, a rapid return to glacial conditions that lasted for over 1,000 years. This was not merely a cold snap, it was a global catastrophe, a climactic hammer blow.
But the Younger Dryas impact offered more than just fire and ice. It brought water on a scale scarcely comprehensible. As the impact fractured vast ice sheets and unleashed immense stores of meltwater, colossal floods swept across continents. Picture rivers of ice-cold water, mile-high tsunamis surging across North America, carving out vast channeled scablands, reshaping entire coastlines and obliterating anything in their path. Settlements, agricultural lands, nascent urban centers, all would have been scoured away, buried beneath layers of sediment, or simply dissolved into the tumultuous rising waters. This epoch also coincided with the rapid, widespread extinction of North American megafauna, mammoths, saber-toothed cats, giant sloths, suggesting an environmental trauma of immense proportions. It likewise marks the abrupt end of the Clovis culture, a sophisticated prehistoric society in North America known for its distinctive fluted projectile points. This cataclysmic period serves as a chilling example of a potential reset button for advanced human development, a moment when nascent civilizations, perhaps globally interconnected, were utterly annihilated, their very existence wiped from the planetary record, forcing any survivors back to a struggle for basic survival, effectively initiating a new, humbler beginning. Yet the Younger Dryas, while perhaps the most recent and dramatic, was by no means the sole instance of such destructive deluge events throughout Earth's tumultuous history. The geological record, for those who know how to read its immense stratified pages, reveals numerous instances of ancient, immense flooding that defy the gentle hand of gradual erosion. These are not merely local river floods, but events of a scale capable of reshaping coastlines, submerging entire settlements, and depositing vast blanketing layers of sediment that effectively bury any evidence of prior civilizations beneath a silent geological shroud. We see evidence in the immense scouring of bedrock in places like the channeled scablands of Washington state, where cataclysmic ice dam floods ripped across the landscape, leaving scars visible from space. We discern it in the vast deep-sea sedimentary layers that suggest colossal turbidity currents, indicative of massive coastal erosion and continent-sized runoff. Over immense timescales, geological processes, the slow, inexorable subsidence of land masses,
The relentless accumulation of sediment from countless rivers carrying the detritus of continents to the sea act as the ultimate erasers. A city built on a delta or a low-lying coastal plain, no matter how grand, can, over millennia, be entirely swallowed by the very earth upon which it stood, compressed and entombed until it becomes indistinguishable from the natural strata, awaiting only deep drilling or seismic imaging to hint at its forgotten presence. Compounding these cataclysms and acting as a more insidious long-term veil are the vast cyclical rhythms of Earth's ice ages. Over geological epochs, immense sheets of ice miles thick have waxed and waned, locking up colossal quantities of the planet's water. During glacial maximums, when the ice sheets covered vast swaths of the northern hemisphere, global sea levels plummeted, dropping by as much as 400 feet or 120 meters below their present-day levels. This exposed vast new land masses, continental shelves that today lie submerged beneath the oceans. Imagine an entire continent of fertile coastlines, river deltas, and shallow seas now revealed, forming ideal environments for early human habitation, rich with resources, easily navigable and prime locations for the growth of sophisticated societies. It is precisely on these now submerged coastal plains that many advanced prehistoric cultures would have flourished, building their settlements, developing their agriculture, and establishing their trade routes. But as the planet inevitably transitioned into interglacial periods, the ice sheets began their colossal, slow melt. Over thousands of years, sea levels rose steadily, relentlessly, creeping higher and higher, swallowing these coastal plains whole. The vibrant cities, the intricate harbors, the fertile fields that once defined these ancient shorelines now lie deep beneath the waves, often hundreds of feet below the ocean's surface. They are not merely submerged, they are often buried by millennia of marine sediment, choked by coral growth, or simply dissolved by the corrosive action of the sea. This renders them largely inaccessible to conventional archaeology, shielded from human gaze by the immense, silent curtain of the ocean. How many lost cities, how many forgotten civilizations now rest in eternal slumber beneath the world's oceans, the silent testament to the greatest environmental erasure known to humanity.
Contemplating these forces, the cosmic hammer blow of an impact, the relentless surge of global deluges, and the slow, inevitable creep of rising seas underscores the profound fragility of even the most advanced societies when confronted with forces of such cosmic or geological scale. Human ambition, ingenuity, and architectural prowess, no matter how magnificent, are but fleeting moments in the immense timescales of planetary existence. Our grand structures, our carefully wrought cities, our meticulously documented histories all stand vulnerable to a world that breathes and shudders, melts and freezes on a scale that dwarfs our comprehension. It suggests hauntingly that our current understanding of history, the linear narrative we cherish, might in fact be built upon the mere scattered fragments that managed to survive these titanic environmental upheavals. The true history of humanity, a history of repeated ascents and devastating falls, may lie buried beneath mile-deep ice, beneath the oceanic abyss, or scattered as dust in the geological record, a profound and humbling testament to the enduring power of the Earth itself. After contemplating the profound, almost unimaginable forces of planetary cataclysms, those titanic environmental upheavals that might have erased entire epochs of human endeavor from the Earth's surface, a different kind of inquiry draws us inward. For if the very ground beneath our feet and the vast swirling currents of the cosmos possess the power to obliterate the grandest human creations, what then of humanity itself? Does our own genetic or cognitive history, the silent chronicle etched within our very being, perhaps whisper of a deeper, more complex origin story than a simple linear progression from rudimentary hunter-gatherers to the architects of early complex societies? Could the blueprint of a forgotten past, a memory of higher states of being, be encoded within the intricate tapestry of our own biology? The conventional narrative of human evolution often paints a picture of a slow, arduous ascent, a gradual refinement of tool-making, a creeping awareness of the abstract, a painstaking development of language and social structure. Yet within this seemingly unbroken line, there is a period that stands out like a sudden, dazzling nova, the cognitive leap, or the Upper Paleolithic Revolution, occurring roughly between 40,000 and 50,000 years ago. It was a time when something profound seemed to awaken within the human mind. Across disparate regions, almost simultaneously in geological terms, there was an explosion of symbolic thought, of abstract reasoning, of artistic expression that still resonates with us today. Suddenly, cave walls became canvases for breathtaking murals of bison and deer, adorned with intricate geometric patterns. Personal ornaments, beads, pendants, carved figurines emerged, speaking of identity and aesthetics beyond mere survival. Sophisticated bone and antler tools, hinting at complex planning and specialized skills, appeared. The rudimentary gave way to the exquisite, the utilitarian to the beautiful. This was not a subtle shift, it was a dramatic, almost theatrical unveiling of potential, a creative surge that defied easy explanation by incremental evolutionary pressures alone. For decades, archaeologists and anthropologists have grappled with its suddenness. Was it truly an initial spark, a foundational ignition of intellect that had lain dormant for millennia? Or, in light of the whispers of lost eras we have been exploring, might it have been something far more profound, a reawakening, a resurfacing of latent potential, a distant memory of lost intellect and ingenuity that had perhaps been eclipsed by cataclysm, only to begin its slow, arduous process of recovery and rediscovery within the human psyche? The sheer sophistication of this revolution suggests a wellspring of cognitive capacity that feels less like a beginning and more like a recovery, a reestablishment of faculties that had previously existed only to be temporarily lost to the mists of a deep, unwritten past. It prompts us to consider that our peak potential might not be a future destination, but a past inheritance waiting to be reactivated.
And if such an inheritance exists, might it not reside within the very architecture of life itself? Consider the profound enigma of what scientists once dismissively termed junk DNA, the vast stretches of our genome, comprising over 98% of it, that do not directly code for proteins. For a long time, these non-coding regions were considered evolutionary baggage, silent passengers with no discernible purpose. Yet as scientific understanding advances, we are slowly beginning to unravel their mysterious roles, discovering their critical involvement in regulating gene expression, in the intricate orchestration of our development, and in the very complexity of who we are. But what if this junk DNA harbors an even deeper secret? What if, within these seemingly silent sequences, lies a vast, unrecognized archive of ancient information, a biological palimpsest waiting for the right key to unlock its hidden chapters? One might speculate, with due humility before the enormity of such a concept, that this non-coding DNA could function as a kind of dormant software within our biological blueprint. Perhaps it contains instructions for dormant capabilities, for forms of intelligence or societal organization that once flourished, only to be deactivated or suppressed after periods of profound planetary disruption. It could be a silent record of a more ancient human story, a genetic echo of forgotten ways of knowing and being. Much like a sophisticated program lying dormant on a computer drive, awaiting a command to reactivate its full functionality, our own genetic makeup might hold the echoes of a higher state, a repository of wisdom and potential inherited from an age we have otherwise forgotten. It's an internal archaeology, offering a glimpse not just into our physical evolution, but into the potential evolution of our consciousness and capacity. This brings us directly to the extraordinary, almost unfathomable complexity of the human brain itself. With its estimated 86 billion neurons, each forming thousands of connections, it is the most intricate known structure in the universe, a universe contained within our skulls. We are only just beginning to map its vast neural networks, to comprehend the symphony of electrochemical impulses that give rise to thought, emotion, and consciousness. But has this advanced brain structure always been utilized to its full capacity throughout human history? Or were there periods in prehistory where different forms of intelligence, different modes of thought, or even different patterns of neural connectivity were dominant? It is entirely plausible that the brain's full potential has ebbed and flowed through the ages, responding to environmental pressures or societal needs. Perhaps ancient civilizations, operating under different paradigms, unlocked aspects of cognitive function that we, in our modern technological focus, have yet to fully rediscover. The capacity for abstract thought, for intricate planning, for profound symbolic understanding might not be a solely linear development. Instead, it could be a deep inherent potential, a latent capacity that can be activated or suppressed, much like the dormant software within our DNA. It's a notion that challenges the very idea of a simple upward trajectory, suggesting instead a more dynamic, perhaps even cyclical relationship with our own intellectual zenith. Reflecting on these possibilities, we arrive at a profound, almost humbling conclusion. Humanity itself might carry the blueprint of a forgotten past. Our capacity for civilization, for monumental endeavor, for abstract thought, might be far older than the conventionally accepted timelines. It suggests that human potential is not a fragile nascent flame easily extinguished, but a resilient inherent quality that flares up cyclically like a cosmic beacon, perhaps after periods of dormancy enforced by the very planetary resets we have explored. The cognitive leap, then, may not have been the first great awakening, but a powerful reverberation of prior intellectual prowess. The mystery of junk DNA may hold the biological instructions for forms of intelligence and societal structures that once thrived, and the astonishing complexity of our own brains may contain dormant pathways to understanding and creating that await their reawakening. We are not just products of a linear evolution. We are inheritors of a vast, unwritten history, an internal archaeology that complements the external whispers from ancient stones and submerged cities. We are, in a profound sense, the living archives of a past far grander and more intricate than we have yet dared to imagine.
Building upon the profound notion that humanity itself might carry the blueprint of a forgotten past, an inherent potential that flares up cyclically, we turn now to a different kind of archive, not encoded in our DNA, nor etched into the stone, but woven into the very fabric of our oldest stories, our most secret traditions, the vast, interconnected tapestry of global mythology. These are not merely whimsical fables spun by ancient minds. They are, for many, the distant, fragmented echoes of a shared catastrophic past, whispers of a prior golden age lingering in the collective memory of humankind. Across continents and cultures separated by immense oceans and millennia of isolation, certain narratives persist with astonishing consistency. It is as if a universal memory has been imprinted upon the human psyche, a profound and enduring recollection of events so monumental, so transformative, that they transcended time and geography. Among these shared archetypes, none is more ubiquitous, more deeply ingrained than the narrative of a great deluge. From the sun-baked plains of Mesopotamia, where the Epic of Gilgamesh recounts a divine wrath unleashing a world-engulfing flood, to the ancient Hebrew scriptures detailing Noah's Ark, a vessel safeguarding life against a global inundation, the story of a devastating waterborne catastrophe resonates. But this is not merely a Middle Eastern phenomenon. Venture across the Pacific to the indigenous peoples of the Americas, and you will find tales of colossal floods recounted by the Maya, the Aztec, and numerous Native American tribes, each with their own names for the sole survivors, often a family or a pair, who rebuilt the world anew. In distant Australia,
Aboriginal Dreamtime stories speak of immense waters rising, reshaping the land and consuming all but a chosen few. Even in the remote corners of Africa and the high plateaus of Asia, the motif of an all-consuming flood, a divine reset, emerges again and again. The common elements are striking. A period of human transgression or divine displeasure leading to a cataclysmic flood that obliterates nearly all life. A warning is often given. A chosen individual or family is tasked with preserving humanity or the animal kingdom, and after the waters recede, a new world, purged and reborn, emerges from the devastation. These are not isolated incidents of storytelling. They are a universal phenomenon, a narrative fingerprint stamped across the globe. Could these diverse accounts, so remarkably consistent in their core message, be more than mere allegory? Could they be the collective memory of a real cataclysmic event? Perhaps a global deluge unleashed by forces like those of the Younger Dryas period, the planetary upheaval we previously explored, which would have reshaped coastlines and swept away entire worlds. The sheer psychological weight and pervasiveness of these myths suggest a truth too profound to be dismissed as mere coincidence. They hint at an actual shared trauma that scarred the dawn of human history, a great reset etched into our very consciousness. Beyond the devastation, another powerful narrative thread weaves through global mythologies, the recurring theme of culture bearers, or sky gods. After periods of chaos or the great floods, these enigmatic figures often descend or emerge to bestow crucial knowledge upon a struggling humanity. They are depicted as wise instructors, divine teachers who arrive from distant lands or from the heavens themselves, bringing the gifts of civilization to nascent societies. They teach agriculture, showing how to cultivate crops and manage the land. They reveal the secrets of astronomy, guiding humanity to understand the celestial clockwork and its influence on earthly cycles. They impart the intricate art of metallurgy, transforming raw earth into tools and treasures. Crucially, they introduce social organization, establishing laws, rituals, and the very foundations of communal living. Consider Quetzalcoatl in Mesoamerica, Viracocha in the Andes, or figures like Thoth in ancient Egypt, or even the mysterious Oans from Mesopotamian lore, semi-divine beings associated with advanced knowledge and the establishment of civilization. These are not just benevolent deities, they are often portrayed as architects of a new order, guiding humanity out of a more primitive state. If we interpret these figures not as literal gods, but as mythical representations, then a different, more provocative possibility emerges. These culture bearers might be the symbolic echoes of survivors or inheritors of a lost, advanced civilization, individuals who possessed sophisticated knowledge and skills, and who, after a planetary cataclysm, dedicated themselves to helping reboot human society. Their arrival, their teachings, would have been so utterly transformative that they became deified, their wisdom enshrined in legend, serving as a vital bridge between a forgotten past and a rebuilt future.
They represent the handing down of a torch, a deliberate transfer of knowledge from a time we have forgotten to the one we remember. This cyclical understanding of time, of rise and fall, destruction and rebirth, is not confined to the narratives of gods and floods. It forms the very philosophical bedrock of many ancient cultures. The Hindu tradition, for instance, speaks of yugas, immense cosmic epochs, each lasting thousands of human years, where humanity's moral and intellectual capacity gradually declines, culminating in a period of chaos and destruction, only for the cycle to begin anew. These are not linear progressions, but grand sweeping oscillations, a cosmic breathing in and out of creation and dissolution. Similarly, the Mesoamerican long count calendar, with its profound cycles that culminate in periods of significant transformation or world endings, reflects a deep-seated belief in the cyclical nature of existence.
This perspective often contrasts sharply with modern linear views of history, where progress is seen as an uninterrupted upward trajectory. For these ancient cultures, the universe, and by extension, human civilization, was understood as moving through predictable patterns of emergence, flourishing, decline, and cataclysmic renewal. These cycles of time and destruction, deeply ingrained in their cosmologies, offer a resonant philosophical framework for the idea of pre-Sumerian lost civilizations and subsequent planetary resets. They suggest that the great erasure we discussed, the cataclysmic events that might have wiped clean vast swaths of human endeavor, were not random, isolated tragedies, but part of a larger, understood cosmic rhythm, a profound pattern of history repeating, a pattern that explains both the anomalies of advanced knowledge and the sudden disappearance of complex societies. These enduring myths, these epic narratives of deluge and rebirth, of wise instructors in cyclical time, are not just stories. They are a deep psychological and cultural imprinting, a whisper carried across millennia, providing a narrative framework for the archaeological and technological anomalies we have previously discussed. The structures that defy their supposed builders, the knowledge that seems to have no origin, the evidence of an advanced past swallowed by the earth. They are humanity's attempt to make sense of a world that once was, but is now lost to our conscious memory. They are the echoes of a deep time, resonating through our folklore, a testament to a profound past whose secrets are slowly, painstakingly beginning to surface. These myths are not merely fanciful imaginings. They are the ghost narratives of a human story far grander and far more cyclical than we have dared to acknowledge. Our journey, through stone sentinels and submerged echoes, through the perplexing blueprints of forgotten ages, through the stark narratives of planetary cataclysms, and into the very blueprint of the human mind and the enduring whispers of our myths, has not been a mere catalogue of ancient wonders. It has been an invitation, profound and disquieting, to confront a paradigm shift, a reordering of our most cherished historical assumptions. The question that has patiently guided our exploration, the quiet inquiry into a potential genesis preceding the known dawn of civilization, is not one designed to dismantle the monumental achievements of Sumer, nor to diminish the brilliance of Mesopotamia. Rather, it seeks to do something far more expansive, far more enriching, to stretch the very horizons of our understanding, to acknowledge that the grand tapestry of human history is woven with threads far older, far more intricate than we have yet dared to imagine. It is an argument for an expanded narrative, a deeper chronology, much as the Amazon, once dismissed as a pristine wilderness, has revealed itself as a colossal, ancient garden, its story perpetually unfolding beneath its verdant canopy. Indeed, the very nature of discovery we find often defies our expectations. The most profound truths, it seems, are not always found in the far reaches of the unknown, but often lie hidden in plain sight, veiled by layers of ingrained assumption, obscured by the very clarity of our existing narratives, or quite literally lost to the relentless embrace of cataclysm. Just as the dense foliage of the Amazon for centuries concealed vast, complex cities, allowing the very earth to hold secrets that defied casual observation, so too might our prevailing historical frameworks have inadvertently drawn a veil across deeper, more ancient achievements. Cataclysmic events, those planetary resets we've explored, possess the immense power not only to erase physical structures, but also to wipe clean the slate of collective memory, leaving only fragmented whispers that, until now, we have often dismissed as fable or anomaly. The challenge, then, lies in learning to see beyond the obvious, to listen to the fainter echoes, and to consider that what we perceive as empty or primitive might in fact be a landscape profoundly shaped by hands and minds long forgotten. Yet this expanded understanding of our past is not merely a product of daring speculation. It is increasingly born from the relentless, inquisitive gaze of modern science, pushing beyond the limits of traditional archaeology. Just as LiDAR pierced the green disguise of the Amazon to reveal ghost cities and ancient infrastructure, so too are advanced geological surveys now teasing out evidence of cataclysmic floods and shifting coastlines that would have buried or submerged countless ancient settlements. Remote sensing technologies, peering beneath the Earth's surface, begin to hint at anomalies that echo the sophisticated precision we've glimpsed in megalithic structures. Genetic research, meanwhile, continues to probe the mysteries of our own biological blueprint, prompting new questions about humanity's inherent capacity for intellectual leaps, for storing and transmitting information across deep time. These cutting-edge disciplines, working in concert, are not merely adding footnotes to history, they are actively unveiling entire unwritten chapters, meticulously peeling back layers of oblivion, revealing a deeper continuum of human experience. They are the new cartographers of deep time, charting a terrain far more complex and compelling than any map of known antiquity has ever shown. What emerges from this synthesis, then, is a profound thought, a shift in the very rhythm of human history. Perhaps humanity's journey across this planet is not a singular linear climb from primordial simplicity to ever greater complexity. Perhaps instead, it is a grander, more undulating saga, a series of immense cycles, of rises and falls, of remembering and forgetting. In this cyclical vision, Sumer, that brilliant vital hub of innovation, becomes not the primal spark of civilization, but a powerful, incandescent reignition, a glorious reawakening after a period of profound global amnesia. It suggests that the capacity for monumental achievement, for intricate social organization, for a sophisticated understanding of the cosmos may be an inherent recurring potential within humanity, one that flares into being, fades under the weight of cataclysm, and then slowly, patiently, re-emerges, shaping the world anew. This perspective doesn't diminish Sumer's importance, it elevates it, positioning it as a radiant beacon in a longer, more complex chain of human endeavor, a testament to our enduring resilience, our unwavering drive to build, to connect, and to comprehend our place in the universe, even after profound disruption. So we stand at an endless horizon, not merely gazing back into the mists of time, but contemplating the boundless scope of human potential itself. This journey invites us to shed the comforting but perhaps limiting narrative of a single linear ascent and to embrace a sense of wonder and humility before the vast untold story of Earth and humanity. It asks us to consider that our current understanding of who we are, where we came from, and what we are capable of might only be the prelude to a much grander epic. As modern science continues its relentless probing, as new technologies like LiDAR and genetic sequencing unlock deeper layers of forgotten memory, more of these unwritten chapters are bound to emerge from the mists of deep time, fundamentally altering our perception of our place within the cosmos. The ultimate treasure, then, is not some glittering city of gold, but the boundless scope of human ingenuity and resilience across millennia. The profound, awe-inspiring realization that our capacity for civilization, for artistry, for engineering, for sophisticated understanding might be as old as humanity itself, a dormant potential patiently awaiting rediscovery, etched into the very fabric of our world, and perhaps within our very souls.